so cheap with the heat then. So that wind is tearing the heat out and everything. It's like, I don't care how well insulated your house is. We've lost our snow cover around our houses and roofs, and now it's just, my furnace is running more than it did in January. Here I thought I was gonna have an easy winter. And then there's the carbon tax.
All right, now this meeting to order. Please note that this meeting will be live streamed. And is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? None. Public hearings? There are none. Delegations? There are none. Question period? None.
Okay, moved by Councilor McLeod, second by Councilor Foster, be it resolved that items A1 to 4 inclusive contained in part 1 consent agenda be adopted.
Under the A section, any questions or comments? Under the B section, questions or comments? The D section, any questions or comments?
I have one.
Good.
Good. No, in the, at the last page of this, this item, Cynthia, we have one here, failure to execute agreement, bond, sureties, consent, or bonding company, or corporate seal or signature missing from the statement to the bond, automatic rejection. But yet, if you go up and down from that, or, well, down twice, I guess, they're only 48-hour rejections, so, like, you know, to rectify the problem. Should we get that out of there? It really, I don't think it poses a threat one way or the other, but
That's just a standard procedure in there that, you know, if they're not providing the bond or the surety, then we automatically reject it. If you want to give them 48 hours to rectify, then we can change that.
I'd like to see that.
Under which one do you want to see 48 hours?
Go back.
Councilor Bob?
No, I disagree with that. The documents I've seen, all the tender documents and that from the town are very clear. You have to produce, and in industry, when you put in a tender, you have your bond with your, you have your bond with your bid, and it's just standard procedure. I mean, if they're not there, you can't. This is just that's just basic. It's just a basic principle of the whole thing. So no, I wouldn't. I don't care. I'm satisfied with it the way it is.
Okay, then, so then the one right below that one, Cynthia, the failure to execute bid bond by bidder and bonding company. Is that, it says A corporate seal to the bidder and bonding company missing. And then it's got automatic rejection, and it's got 48 hours to correct. You see that one's, I don't know, the third paragraph or so.
So, yeah, so that's just for clarification under part A there. If it's just that the corporate seal is missing, they have a chance to correct that.
Okay, if it's just, okay, I see, and otherwise it would be an automatic
Yeah.
rejection. Okay, I thought there was a conflict there, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, just clerical.
Okay, fine.
Okay, anyone else? Under the E section, questions or comments? Under the F section, questions or comments? G1,
Moved by Councilor McLeod, second by Councilor Ron Chukwu, be it resolved that council for the town of West Milwaukee hereby supports the resolution resolution adopted by the municipality of Thames Center regarding automated external refrigerator.
Do we have a vote on the
Yeah.
first part of
Oh,
it?
sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Missed the vote for the consent.
Slow ahead here. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, item J1F4, approved to contain the part one consent agenda. Be adopted, all carried.
Oh, what's that?
And this one here, about the defibrillators. Any questions or comments?
No, I had asked for this to be put on the agenda, Your Worship, because they have it in so many locations today, and this community thought it was worthwhile at schools, if I remember. And I think it's just as important in school as it is in hockey arenas or anything else. Whether we get it or not, I don't know. I mean, you're dealing with children, and it doesn't happen all that often, but it does happen. So I thought it would be a worthwhile endeavor to see if we can get them in the school system also.
I think that would be worthwhile too.
Actually, it happens a little more than, I went and checked on it, and it happens quite a bit.
In schools?
Yes, it does. I wasn't sure about it either up until I read that, and I thought,
Anyone else? We all agree to support this resolution? Carried.
Item G2, moved by Councilor Ron Dupuis, second by Councilor Foster, be it resolved that bylaw 276917, being a deeming bylaw for lot consolidation of roll number 002-02400, 124 Ted Hope, and 002-0230, 128 Hope Street, be adopted.
What was that second last one? Okay, questions or comments? Is that's ours already now?
That's on.
One is, and the purchase agreement is for the other one.
And we just passed a purchase agreement and so they're both ours now.
Mhm.
All in favor? Carried.
Item G3, moved by Councilor McLennan, seconded by Councilor Dufour, be it resolved that bylaw 277117, being a deeming bylaw for lot consolidation of roll number 008-09500, 390 James, and 008-09400, 384 James, be adopted.
Questions or comments?
I have a question there. That meets all our bylaws, okay? The ability to do that is not an issue?
Nope.
Okay.
All that does, if I'm not, is make two small lots into one large one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this case, a second lot doesn't look like it's that small, but regardless,
But as a property owner, it's good for
Yeah.
nothing.
yeah.
All in favor? Carried.
Item G4, moved by Councilor Dufour, seconded by Councilor Ron Duplessis, be it resolved that a bylaw be adopted appointing MTE Paralegal Professional Corporation to act as agent in matters related to assessment and taxation matters effective January 1st, 2017.
Questions or comments? Councilor Bill?
I have a question. Is this because that firm works in Toronto and it facilitates,
There's very few firms actually available to help municipalities with
Okay.
those types of things. And there's two really that I'm aware of. And the one was already involved in one of the cases that I would like to appeal. So leaves them to me, and we've worked with them in the past.
okay. Do we know roughly what it's gonna cost us?
Yeah.
Or just ballpark?
I think about $1,500 to file the two
Okay,
appeals that we
okay.
have discussed.
So it's not a huge sum of money and allows us to appeal specific assessments and, okay, good.
Councilor Ron?
What I'm assuming is it's because of their expertise in the assessment process
For sure,
compared to our own staff, because I mean, this is all they deal with.
yeah. And
And-
you
and
need
it
to
would
have a
help us.
paralegal.
It's a requirement,
Yeah, we're required to have a
Yeah,
paralegal.
but they're also familiar with fighting these kind of
Yeah,
cases.
well, of course.
All in favor? Carried.
Item G5, moved by Councillor Foster, seconded by Councillor Michellein, be it resolved that a by-election be held to allow the residents of Verona to choose who will provide policing services for the town.
Questions or comments?
Yes, thank you. To start with, I'm disappointed and don't appreciate the fact that this resident's first letter has been incorporated into our agenda. It was political propaganda for the election. This is not based on fact. It is simply based on a campaign slogan, so I don't appreciate that. And second of all, there's a letter that's been attached, and it's an unsigned letter, and once again, I don't appreciate the fact that an unsigned letter has been put in, because there's no way you can refute what's said within this letter to the person who's written the letter. That being said, I do support this motion because this is such a large issue that the people of Espanola have to have a chance to weigh in on this. So I do support this motion.
Any other questions or comments? We have come to Ron.
Oh, I know where the motion is coming from, your worship, and unfortunately, at this time, I don't support it, just for the simple fact that we've been into this almost 2 years. We have no real numbers. We know that we're looking possibly at a building. We don't know the extent of it, we don't know what we need, and I think it's a little early to be looking at a referendum or a bylaw or a by-election when we don't have any numbers. I mean, if I see something, I know I was in that list that you put out, your worship, but at this point, with the fact that we may see something that doesn't even lead us to want to go to a referendum because we wouldn't even consider looking at a different force. So for that reason, I'm not prepared at this time to move forward. I think we need to have more information before I'd even consider looking and going forward to the people.
Councillor Bill.
The other thing is, if we pass this bylaw, the referendum has to be held within 60 to 90 days.
Not this.
No, yeah, 100,
No,
And
that's,
retracted it.
do you want me to do it?
Thank you. This motion is not ensconcing in stone that we're gonna have a referendum.
No.
This is simply allowing staff, if the time comes and council wants to proceed with
Just the vote.
looking at the costing that there's a position in place. So this is not a motion that is fait complete.
No.
So,
But it
so the
opens
lack-
the door.
it
My-
opens the door.
my
So-
first
so the
thing
lack
was
of support
wrong.
for this is-
Okay.
Is we are just simply
So,
right now
it's okay.
allowing staff to get prepared for it. We're not gonna have one.
Well, I think we're a long way down the road.
Well, exactly, but we haven't spent any money. If we agreed to this, we aren't gonna spend any money to do this yet.
Councillor Buck.
Okay, yeah, I'm not in favor of a referendum at all. There are 7 council members that were elected by a representative mix of the community, implying at the very least that we are trusted to make decisions. And I look at, I think a valid comparison would be to the Aqua contract we recently accepted. It's a multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract for taking care of our drinking water and wastewater systems, and that is just as important to me as the policing issue. And we didn't have to have a referendum for that. We made a decision, and there you have it. There have been a number of communities taking the road we are and looking at an OPP service proposal, and it is a service proposal, not just costing. And the issue is mentioned, pardon me, I can't even read good, can I? The issue is highly emotional and results in a lot of inaccurate information and comments in the community. I've looked at this and where it's gone on in every other community, and there have been, it's never a very accurate thing that's being presented in many cases, and I get it why. Council will have all the correct details and be in the best position to make a decision with all the details, some of which won't be able to be revealed even, in all likelihood. It's intended to be ample opportunity for residents to comment in public forums anyway, and we will also have, as far as I know, there will be a consultant in place to help with the presentation, and that's an unbiased and experienced consultant with these affairs. And I don't support taking $28,000 from the tax stabilization fund, reserve fund, for something that is an operational need. Again, council is elected to make decisions, and that's the bottom line. And thank you.
I took a little excerpt from Municipal Councilor's Handbook, 6th edition. It is important that the public's views be available to be analyzed by the decision makers in order to preserve the integrity of the decision-making process. It is equally important to preserve the appearance of the democratic process in order to maintain the interest and support of the voter. It is vital that citizens be involved in decision-making so that the actions of government will reflect the wishes of our citizens. I believe what all citizens expect is a council who attempts to reflect that will of the public. And we have spent money for consultants already. And $28,000 is one of them. And if we go ahead with this, and it's not binding, all we're doing is putting this stuff in place if and when. If it doesn't work, we discard it. But nobody's compelled here. But I really believe that the municipality, the citizens of our town, need to be able to vote on this. The Oracle poll said that 486 out of 500 agreed that they wanted to be able to take part in this issue. And to me, that's them speaking to you guys. Councillor Bill.
Taking part in the decision doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a referendum. You want to get some input from the citizens. And depending on where the OPP quote comes in, I may be prepared to go for a referendum, or I may not, depending on how clear it is to me and the feedback from the citizens. If we go and get some feedback from the citizens and we're getting positive feedback, do we want to spend the money on a referendum? So I'm not prepared to commit to this at this time, but maybe after we receive the quote and we have some more information, I might be.
Councillor Stewart.
Thank you. So that begs the question, is if we vote against this, is this set in stone that there will not be a referendum?
No.
I want to make sure that doesn't come back. Would it be appropriate then to table this?
I think maybe you would want to defer it. If you vote it down, then we would have to bring it back as a reconsideration.
Yeah.
It should be voted.
But that's not a problem.
Well, then the thing is
You only got one time.
yeah, like that's the question is we aren't at that stage yet. We are not committing to spend this money. First of all, if we agree to this. Second of all, it's not unlike us to have referendums. We had a referendum for the complex because it was such a big decision that the people had a chance to vote. The third thing is if we vote this again, vote down this, we're not actually voting with a full, as Bill said, a full knowledge of what's coming at us. So what I propose then is we defer this until, as Bill said, we have more facts in front of us and see whether or not we should go to the public.
Councillor Reid.
Okay, I like what Councillor McLeod said. First of all, I mean, if this was to happen, a referendum or a by-election, whatever have you, I would still imagine that the people, like the citizens, would have some, not only input, but I mean, they should have some information as well, wouldn't they?
Yes,
Maybe not
they will get that.
not in its entirety, perhaps, but it would be all the hit list, like the fundamentals that would really matter. And I'm not really against either way. It's just that as long as they had the proper information and everything was done properly, I can't see any problem with it at all.
Councillor Ron.
And to answer what Councillor Dwarfer said about the public getting information, I think if we all looked at what Bill had brought forward many months ago, in all the places where there was costing and service reviews and all the rest, there was several public forums for the people to attend. with council there, with the OPP there, with everybody there, and unlimited questions and answers. So I mean, that is a good public forum to air everything out in the open, so there's no secrets, there's nothing. I mean, the information will be ready available, because the people that are knowledgeable will be there.
Counselor Bob.
Yeah, there's, I sit on the committee, and there's a full intention to have public sessions. And that's why the consultant will come in, where the consultant will be part of, who's an unbiased, knowledgeable person to help answer the questions. The OPP have committed to being part of those public sessions. We would expect to be lots of presentations. And I personally, I've said before, I don't care how many public sessions there have to be and how long they have to last. The information will be there, but to repeat, I've watched this play out in other communities, and there is always a lot of information presented that is not accurate, it is emotional, and that is one of the biggest problems that we see. Having said that, I am quite prepared to support deferring the motion because it is premature. Thank you.
I agree. I would support deferring the motion.
You repeat that, sir?
I said I support deferring the motion as well.
Okay. All in favor?
I'm deferring.
what?
What are we in favor of?
Oh, we won't do this now. Okay.
Let's defer.
The item is deferred.
Okay, next item G6, moved by Councillor McMahon, seconded by Councillor Ron Duplessis, be it resolved that 1, the town of Esmeralda enter into an agreement for joint transit procurement, and 2, the town of Esmeralda proceed with option 3 with funding being subsidized from the PTIF and funds in the Provincial Gas Tax Trust.
Questions or comments? Counselor Bob.
Yes, thanks, Your Worship. The information provided there, it makes it, and it's a lot of information, it's excellent, makes it clear that participation in the Metrolinx procurement program is to the great advantage of the town, so it's obvious to me I would support that. I have personal experience with the present van, and every deficiency that the staff reports notes, I've seen that with every single one of them happening, and the drivers having to struggle, and the users. And the unit would also the option number 3, which is the larger unit. One of the things that does happen in town is that people are not able to use it simply because there isn't enough room. This option 3 gives us, which is the larger unit, gives us something that'll be able to accommodate a lot more people, including people with wheelchairs as well. Because it's well used for all kinds of events. So, like, I'm fully in support of option 3 and Metrolinx.
Counselor Ron.
I support that too, Bob. I just had a question. With our gas tax money in reserves and with the government funding, it's virtually completely covered, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no real cost to the taxpayer there. Perfect. Can we get more of those?
Counselor Bill.
The other thing is, if we turn this down, I know the existing van's only about 7 years old, but we have some issues with it. But if we turn this down, it would probably be 4 or 5 years before we could accumulate that money to, with the existing provincial income that we have been getting, eh?
It could be longer.
Okay, so I'm in favor of this as well.
Absolutely. That's a no-brainer.
Anyone else?
You have to
Ron, okay, I'll call a
You
vote.
have to call a vote.
All in favor? Carried.
Brilliant.
That's what the item was. H1, 2016 annual summary, report for the Esmeralda water system, post office are available at the clerk's office. This information was previously attached to council as required a copy of the information. If required, a copy of the information available at the municipal office. Conference and conventions, phenomenal Wednesday, May the 10th to Friday, May 12th, 2017 in North Bay. And mayor and council reports and announcements. Councilor Bob.
Nothing, Your Worship, thank you.
Councilor Ray. Councilor Ron.
Just a comment, our public works people, I'm sure everybody's noticed that they're out there and they've been removing snow from the sides of the road. We had a lot of snow this winter. And it's certainly gonna help when the thaw finally comes. It wouldn't take it the last few days, but it'll certainly help open drains and get water away. But I understand they're hauling something like 90 loads a day
Yeah.
away. So it's certainly gonna help. Appreciate it, I'm sure, by all the residents. Thank you.
Councilor Stewart.
Aye.
Councilor Wood.
And nothing.
I have nothing either.
We have budgets on the
Future.
2030.
Pardon?
Budgets on the 2030.
Yeah, next
1
week.
o'clock.
Yeah,
next
I
week.
was just gonna mention that under future council committee meetings, that the regular community services in the next regular meeting is listed there, but there's a budget meeting on the 23rd at 1 o'clock.
Okay. Regular meeting of council is hereby adjourned. All in favor? Carried.
Cheaper, huh?